Welcome into another episode right here on SportsBookReview.com of the Major League Baseball Show. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Jason Radowitz. Yesterday was the trade deadline. Jason, we're both still on the channel. We did not get traded away for a player to be named later. We are here and ready to rock and roll. My win streak ended yesterday because those darn Mariners couldn't get a simple base hit in the fourth inning when they had second and third and nobody out. They only scored 2 runs, needed 4. I didn't get it. Jason, I know you did well yesterday. It's a big baseball card today. A lot to look forward to, and it's September, man. I'm excited, buddy.
Yeah, it's September. We've only had a month of baseball. Really interesting how things have went throughout the entire season, but we wouldn't want it any other way. This has been a lot of fun. It's getting us out of that quarantine feeling, and we get some sports now. Obviously, NFL is coming. You guys got the show there. Also have college football coming really soon. We got 5 games in the FBS on Saturday. So basketball's back, NHL is still going. We got all the sports going on, so I can't complain at all.
No, it's fantastic. And you know what the best part about it, too, is you wind down in September. There's more playoff teams, so more teams each and every day should still be in it with a few weeks left to play. And also when you get to the playoffs, there's more teams in the playoffs, so there'll be more games for both Jason and myself to break down right here on the channels at sportsbookreview.com. 81 people already watching live, 66,900 people. We haven't flipped it over to 67,000 people. I think we might be able to get that done at the end of the show. If you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe button, turn your notification bells on. When the Major League Baseball show goes live right here on sportsbookreview.com on the YouTube channel, you'll get it delivered to your inbox. James, Sabino, Gabriel, Joey, Jose, Tori, Chris, Rose, welcome into the chat box. Let's get busy here. And I saw David Hall popped up. I was almost ready to go with a Darryl Hall popped up. That would have been pretty impressive. But here we go on the card today. We'll go as usually as we always do. Have a couple games already picked out. Then we'll be able to hit. We should be able to get through this entire card and get you that information, what you need. 901, 902, St. Louis and Cincinnati. Kim, the lefty, is going to go up against Sonny Gray. 8 out of every 10 tickets here, Jason, coming in on the hometown team, the Cincinnati Reds. They opened up at 144 offshore at SBRodds.com. We now sit in the mid-160s across the board. The total, which opened up at 8, that now sits at 8.5. I'm going to keep it simple on this one. Forget about Kim's, ERA type stats. XFIP, a little bit higher, new rookie pitcher. I'm going to go up against this and take Sonny Gray, first 5 innings run line. Just give me a 1-run lead for Cincinnati at the end of the turn at the 5th inning. I'm going to collect my money. What are we looking at here on this game, Jason?
Yeah, and you hit it right on the nail. Look, Kwan Hyun Kim pitched in the KBO last season, so familiar with that league now, of course, but pitched in the KBO last season, did really well for the SK Wyverns, so he gets his opportunity in the majors. Well, so far it's been pretty good. A 1.08 ERA, 1-0 in 3 starts and 4 games. But when you look at the metrics, things kind of take a turn and show you that maybe his ERA shouldn't be this low. So for Kim, he allows hard contact, gets a low strikeout rate, and still has an extremely low ERA. So like you said, there's 80% of tickets are on the Reds. They're hoping that the Cardinals and the Kim starts to let up those runs that he's supposed to be allowing with the metrics. So Sonny Gray, of course, going for the Reds. He's got the high strikeout rate. He gets a good amount of ground balls, limiting hits, and he's going 5 innings every start. So if you want to go for that for the first 5 innings, like Donnie said, Gray, he's guaranteed to go 5 innings. And Kim, this is the guy that his metrics are saying he's going to let up some runs pretty soon. So this could be the start where Sonny Gray does really well and Kim starts to struggle in this start, and the Reds get that first 5 win over the Cardinals. So I like that pick from Donnie.
Yep, there we go. So go run line. It's not that expensive, -120. Again, just have to be up 1 after 5. Sabino says, can you give my brother Carlos a shout out? He's new to your show today. I sent him to watch the best baseball show of the day. Carlos, welcome into the family. And if you could do so, hit that subscribe button, because by the end of the show, I want that bad boy at 67,000 out here. Thank you guys to the chat box for tuning in. 137 people already watching. And we only broke down 1 game so far, so let's keep it moving. The Chicago Cubs and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Lester's on the mound, the lefty, versus Chad Kuhl. 905, 906 is the rotation. 7 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on Lester. We're just looking at the name. We're just saying, hey, you know what? That lineup for the Pittsburgh Pirates can't hit anything. Opens up at 150. It is actually a little bit higher now. 160s across the board. Over under, which opened up at 9, now sits at 9.5. But, look, I got burned a little bit yesterday, but doesn't mean I don't keep on going down with some of these, Fleabag type games or Fleabag type teams. When I look at Lester, the one thing he can't handle to me, Jason, is right-handed bats. The Pittsburgh Pirates, even if they are bad at bats, they are going to stack those righties. The team total for the game is going to be 3.5 for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm going to take a swing on that because if you think the Chicago Cubs are going to win the game, that means the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to get a full 9 at bats. I want to see if I can get this here. I think they can hit Lester. Do I love it? No, but hey, I'm going to go against Lester and continue to fade him here, especially against right-handed bats here on the road. What are you looking at for this game?
Yeah, it's a good call. It's a tough game for me, and that's why I'm definitely staying away. Lester, of course, he's allowed, I think, 35 hits in his last 3 games. He does get a solid amount of ground balls, but, I mean, look, the Pirates have a poor offense. Can they score against Lester, who's been really bad in his last 3 starts? I know he allowed 1 run in his last start, but he still allowed, I think, either 8 or 9 hits in that game. So, we're going to have to see what gives. Are the Pirates going to get those hits and get those runs, or is Lester going to be able to perform against the poor Pirates offense? That's the question. Chad Cole, on the other hand, for the Pirates, he's the guy that walks a high percentage of batters. He also allowed some hard contact, but he hasn't allowed more than 3 runs in any given start this season. Of course, hasn't really gone deep in games either, but he's allowed 2 earned runs in his last 11 innings pitched with 6 hits in those 11 innings versus the Cardinals and the Brewers. 2 okay offenses, not the best, but not the worst either. He does have a 1.42 ERA at home in 3 games, holding batters to a 140 batting average at home this season for the Pirates. So it's a tough one because Cole, he's got with a 5.46 FIP, does have a 2.52 ERA, has performed really well at home. Lester, he's a mixed bag. You might get a good start, you might get a bad start. Against the Pirates, it's really anyone's guess. So for me, it's a tough one for sure. Maybe Pirates have some value as underdogs at home, but really, it's a hard one for me. I'm staying away for sure.
Yeah, even if you just take the pitching battle out of this one and just take a look at lineup per lineup, it's really not close. But sometimes you say, you know what, maybe you get that nice little batter's eye at home. You're used to playing at home. Only need 4 runs to take a swing. So if you figure they're going to be around their team total, the Pittsburgh Pirates, they're probably going to have a decent shot in this game, 160 to 170 across the board. Interesting matchup there, but I always like to bring up John Lester specifically when an all right-handed lineup can go against them, which it looks like it's going to do tonight. Let's move on to your Mets. The time is now. It's September. They better turn on the jet burners here. Try to get one of those playoff spots here in the NL. 907, 908. Ariel Jurado is going to be on the mound today, and Baltimore is going to show out Asher Wojciechowski. 6 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on the Mets in this game. It looks like it's anywhere between 135 to 145, depending on where you're shopping. Line opened up around 10, now sits at 10.5, and I don't disagree with that one step because if we take a look at both of these teams, Jurado, me and Jason were talking before the show started, doesn't have any pitches this year in Major League Baseball. It's not like you're going around warming up in AA and AAA. You're basically just getting a side pitching, rotation where I say, hey, throw to these couple batters here for a couple innings, stretch your arm out. Oh, yeah, you're going to get a call up to play some Major League Baseball down in Baltimore. That'll be interesting to watch. But also when you take a look at the Baltimore Orioles, now is the time that we saw, remember last year, every single time somebody went down to Camden Yards, specifically the Yankees, they had 37 home runs a game. Now you're taking a look at a pitcher that has struggled this year in a hitter's ballpark. You also took away 2 more relievers out of there with Castro and Givens. There's not much resistance here. The Mets should be able to win this game, even though I do think Baltimore is going to score some runs. The Mets better get after this starting pitcher and bullpen. You get the full 9 at-bats down there. I think this game goes over. I don't see any problem with seeing a 6-4, 6-5, 7-4 type ball game here, which pushes this number around that 11-12 run stat. I like the Mets here, and I do think the Mets put up some runs, so I'm going to go over the 10.5 in this game. Jason, what are you thinking on your Mets here?
Yeah, so you have Asher. This is a guy, he gets a really low ground ball rate. It's 30% from this season and last season. Also allows a solid amount of walks where, you should be concerned with his pitching. He's allowed 3 earned runs in his last 3 starts, hasn't pitched more than 5 innings in any of them. So righties are hitting 300 versus him, and he's now also allowed 7 home runs on the season. And you have Jurado on the mound. We don't know too much about him. Of course, I'm going to get my scouting in tonight. But yeah, this is a guy, he had 46.1% of ground balls last season, had trouble with leaving runners on base, though, at just 59%. Obviously, the average is around 70% on any given season. Also had a 5.1 FIP, a 5.81 ERA, and allowed 1.54 home runs per 9 innings last season as well. So, Yeah, I mean, look, Gerardo probably won't go that deep in this game. DeGrom did pitch yesterday, so the bullpen is a little bit rested for the most part with DeGrom going, his usual six innings in that game, although he didn't perform well late in that game. The bullpen will still be healed just a little bit. They'll feel a little bit good after 5 games versus the Yankees over the weekend. But yeah, I still think the Orioles, I mean, they're an underdog, when it comes to their offense. They're not a bad offense at all. And we've seen it time and time again. I think, at the end of the day, the Orioles should be able to hit Gerardo. And before Gerardo leaves this game, he will have a couple runs allowed, as the Astros will as well. So maybe even looking at over in the first 5 innings, and then you can look at over in the full game as well. I know you said it was at 10.5. I was seeing 10 earlier in the game. So if you have your book at 10 or even at 9.5 at a little higher in the juice, I definitely recommend it. I think this game definitely goes over, like Donnie said.
Yeah, when you're matching up right-handed batters also, because sometimes you just look at the favorite and you say, oh, well, Baltimore's hot early on, cooled off a little bit. Their numbers are really good, Jason, versus right-handed pitching. And again, we're getting Gerardo. You're not getting Max Scherzer out there. So if you're looking at elevated weighted on base numbers, Santander, 393, Iglesias, 386, Nunez, 378, Severino, 386, Cisco, 380, and Mountcastle has just come up 22 at-bats versus right-handed pitching. He's at a 536. So I think you're going to get some runs down there. So a little bit of weather issues, but it doesn't look like it's going to hamper the game at all. Might have an in-game shower, but again, we're talking about 2 pitchers that should be able to get hit, and not great bullpens on the back end, and specifically those Orioles on the back end should be atrocious today. If there's one game, it's September 1st, you clear the slate, Jason. Today is the day those Mets need to come up big. Therefore, we'll see if it happens. How about another NL East battle? Last night, the Philadelphia Phillies and Rhys Hoskins now on fire, slugging away, knock off the Nationals, who the Nationals won it last year. Jason, you know where they sit this year? Yep. Dead last in the NL. Good for them, those Washington Nationals. Corbin and Nola will be on the mound today. 7 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on Aaron Nola. Opens up at around 142, and we now sit across the board in that 150 range. 8.5 is a total. We now sit at 8.5 as well. The one thing that's going to be tough about this game for me, because Nola's been off the charts. Both his ERA is decent, and then his advanced metrics are sensational. But you always know Corbin has those A games in his back pocket. The one thing that's going to be really hard to do is similar to what we look at the White Sox, where they hammer left-handed pitching, the Phillies the same. Every single guy anticipated in this lineup, outside of rookie Alex Bohm, who's only had 16 at-bats versus lefties, absolutely rakes starting pitching from the left-hand side. But look at the ISO numbers here. McCutchen, 289. Hoskins, 310. Harper, 375. Realmuto, 258. Segura, 300. Gregorius, 371. Goslin, 273. And Roman Quinn with a 333. A lot of doubles, triples, and home runs in these bats here. It's expensive. I don't like to go any higher than 150, but I like the Phillies on the money line here, and it looks like it's at 5 dimes right now, minus 148. I think they're a hot team. Bullpen starting to get it together, but I like their matchup against left-handed pitching, and Aaron Nola should be able to hold down this Washington Nationals lineup outside of Trey Turner and also Juan Soto. What are you thinking here, Jason, on this NL East battle?
Yeah, look, Nola only had 1 bad game on the entire season. He's been consistently really good, and if you take away that 1 bad start that he had earlier in the season, he'd have an ERA in the 2s, an FIP probably in the 2s. So, yeah, look, Nola had 1 bad start, but he's been really good as of late. And we just talked about how bad the Nationals have been, now towards the bottom of the standings, especially in the NL East. And the Marlins are in the same division, by the way. But, yeah, realistically, both these starters already faced these teams last week. They both performed pretty well. Obviously, when you face them again, you'd probably give the benefit of the doubt to the hitting in this matchup. But, I don't think the Nationals have enough to do any damage versus Nola. And I think that the Phillies might struggle versus Corbin early in this game, maybe score a couple runs later in the 4th or 5th inning. So I'm looking at potentially under 4.5 in the first 5 with these 2 aces on the mound. But if I had to look at a money line, I'd look at the Phillies here, minus 154. Look, they've revamped their bullpen. They just added David Phelps, who's one of the better pitchers, relief pitchers, especially from the Brewers. Yep. I like him. I think he's a great pitcher. I think he definitely helps out with this Phillies bullpen, especially for that 7th, 8th, 9th inning, wherever they put him. I think it's a good addition. And I think the Phillies, they've done enough to, at least, go for that playoff spot and maybe do some damage. So I think the Phillies have the better team at this point going up against the Nationals, and definitely have the better pitcher going up against the Nationals. So while I think there might be a little less scoring early in the game. I think the Phillies come ahead at the top late in this game and end up winning.
Yeah, no, I see it the same way there. So we'll see what takes place in that. But it's just nice to see the Nationals sitting down at the bottom of the division. Doesn't look like a great chance for a repeat. But then again, last year, I remember a horrible loss against the Mets, which I believe had the Nationals basically in last place in the NL East. But there was a lot more time to catch up and make that surge, which now we're only dealing with about 30 days left in the season. We'll see what happens. 240 people now watching live. Thank you for the thumbs up. We got 39 of those. If you're missing everything, like Elliot V comes in here. What's up, boys? What did I miss? Well, if you missed anything on the show, you can always rewind it radio on YouTube, but there is a link below, sbrpicks.com/MLB. All the information you need right there at sportsbookreview.com to make you a better Major League Baseball gambler. Let's keep going here. 9-17, 9-18. Talk about wasted pitching. I know, Jason, you got the Mets, and you waste a Grom start damn near every time he's out there. Talk about a dominant start yesterday. The Indians wasted. Plesac's going to take them out today versus the Dark Knight, Matt Harvey. 7 out of every 10 tickets here coming in on the Indians. They open up at around that 175 range, now sitting around 200 at some outlets, and a total of 9. I look at this game, and I know Harvey hasn't been good the first 2 games, but I still can't trust the Cleveland bats to wake up and just get base hits and timely base hits when they need it, and not even going up against a great pitcher like Harvey. So if they scratch out 3 or 4 runs, their team total is sitting at a 5. minus 120 for the Indians. That means the Indians have to get 6 runs to cash the team total. I'm going to go under in this ball game. Give me the under 9. I think Cleveland has enough to win it. But again, as I said, Plesac should be able to hold down Kansas City, but I don't trust a runaway game versus any pitchers for the Indians. I'm going under 9. What are you looking at here?
Yeah, so let's talk about Zach Plesac coming back through, he was suspended with the team, had a leave of absence due to being out during COVID in Chicago. He hasn't pitched since the 8th of August, and now he's, finally back. Of course, the Indians got rid of Clevenger. They ended up keeping Plesac, and he's going to get the starts now and, back with the team. When Plesac started, he had 3 games started. He was averaging 10.29 strikeouts per 9 innings, walked 0.86 batters per 9 innings. He was really good. 1.29 ERA, 2.3 in FIP. I'm not sure how deep he'll be able to go. Of course, he hasn't pitched in almost a month, right? But I would imagine he's able to go 5 innings and get back to where he was. He's going to be prepared. He'll look okay. The Royals obviously struggled versus Bieber last night until the end of the game. They were able to scratch out a couple runs, whatever. But Bieber definitely held them down. I think Plesac will hold them down too. Then you got Harvey going for the Royals, and I'm a big Harvey lover, but money's money to me. So I'm going up against Harvey here. I'm going to take the Indians to minus 0.5 in the first 5. Like you said, we're not sure if the Indians will be able to score 6 runs in this game, but I am sure that the Indians will be able to score a couple runs in this game. And with the way Plesac pitched in his start before he was suspended from the team, he looked really good. I think Harvey, he's struggling in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 3rd innings, really going up against the order the second time around. So that's where he struggled. He's now averaging 6.35 walks per 9 innings. He's also allowing 3.18 home runs per 9 innings too. So he hasn't been very good, especially the second time around the order. That's why I'm going in the first 5 innings. I know Harvey, when he gets that second time around the order against the Indians, of course, they have Ramirez, they have Lindor, they have Santana's, they have Hernandez. They have guys that will be able to step up and perform. Of course, the Indians have been the best offensive team this season, but against Harvey, any team can look good offensively against Harvey, especially this season. He has an 11.12 ERA and a 7.73 FIP in 2 games. So going up against Harvey, going with the Indians, on paper, they have the offense to score some runs. I think Plesac will get the job done here. So again, Indians minus 0.5 in the first 5 at minus 134. It's an official play for me.
Yeah, I think it's the right way to go. Again, if me and you take some cuts out there in Kansas City, maybe we get a ball into the fountain or not off Harvey. We'll see what happens, but I know you like Harvey. We'll see what happens. But I know, look, the Indians are the best. Sooner or later, the Indians are supposed to have a good lineup and be able to rake. We've seen some glimpses of it. And hey, give me 7-1 today. I'll take it. 7-1 works perfectly for me, and I know it will for you as well. Let's keep going. And the one game I do want to take a look at is, since we're through our 5-pack, is Tampa Bay and the New York Yankees, Richards and Tanaka. Tampa Bay, just a runaway splash in the AL East. They're going to go up against Tanaka tonight. And I'm pretty sure this line is a little bit short, at least open short. Minus 127 is a favorite for the New York Yankees. Now we're seeing that into the mid 150s, opened up at 8.5. That now sits at 9. I like the Yankees team total in this game because I'm taking a look at, you're not going up against Glass now. You're not going up against Snell. You're now looking at Richards, who's, even from his ERA type numbers, let me bring those up, 4.71. But you're taking a look at his XFIP of 5.56 and his Sierra, that's over 5. He's been relatively bad. But a lot of people just looking at this Yankees team saying, well, I don't have Aaron Judge. I don't have Mike Stanton. What am I going to do with this ball club? The Gleyber Torres isn't there. They have enough bats that it should be fine for today. DJ LeMahieu's got a 424 weighted on base average versus righties. Luke Voit, 445. Tauchman, 396. It's a small ballpark. The team total for the Yankees is 4.5. I'm going with that. I think the Yankees win the game, but I'm confident. I think the Yankees get 5+ runs today in the Bronx. I like that one. That's the way I'm going to go with it. Any thoughts on the boys up in the Bronx versus the Rays?
Yeah, so I was debating with this game for so long. I love the Yankees in this spot. I'm with you 100% on this one. Trevor Richards, he's a guy, doesn't get many ground balls, allows a ton of hard contact, also has a high walk rate, hasn't gone 5 innings yet, and has allowed multiple runs in every start this season. So even looking in the first 5 and just saying, hey, the Yankees are going to start off hot and reach that team total of probably 2.5. But even better, Tanaka, he's a guy that coming off of a 3-hit performance versus the Braves. His last time out allowed no runs and no walks with 4 strikeouts. Did struggle versus the Rays in his last start, but the previous start before that against the Rays, he looked good. So hard to know what you're going to get out of Tanaka, but I do think that the Yankees could be out in front of the Rays in the first 5 innings. So I was debating, didn't make an official play on this one because I was just debating for too long, but the Yankees team total of 4.5, it seems like a great play. The Yankees over 2 or 2.5 in the first 5 innings seems like a great play. And the Yankees minus 0.5 in the first 5 also seems like a great play here for the Yankees. I'm all over the Yankees in this game, especially at home versus Trevor Richards, who has struggled every start this season. Even he had the 4.71 ERA, and he's allowed at least 2 runs in every start this season.
No, I'm in agreement with you there. I think the bats come out. I think Tanaka's the right play, and I think the Yankees finally break that skid against the Rays. Another game, Jason, I know you wanted to talk about, 9:21, 9:22, Texas and Houston. Garcia is going to be the opener here for – hopefully he can open for 5 innings, because if you get to Jordan Lyles, the floodgates just might open up for Houston. Now you have a rested and ready team, and we've seen it across Major League Baseball. A lot of these rested and ready teams coming off some of these COVID breaks have really come out smoking. Framber Valdez, decent pitcher, is going to be on the side, the lefty for Houston. But this really comes down to those Houston bats. They should match up really well in this ball game. I'm taking a look at it total. Looks like it opened up around 9, but there are some 8.5s across the board. And I just want to take a look to see if we have a team total that I can bring up here for the Houston Astros as I check in right here on SBRodds.com. I'm going to go rate the 5 dimes, and I got 5.5 plus 100. So you could probably get a 5 right around that, minus 115 range. I got to tell you, Houston should be able to put up 5 runs tonight versus this Texas Rangers team, which again equates to a runaway victory for me from the Astros. But I'm not going to lay 265 to 270. But I do think Houston gets hits here. I like that over 5 number as a team total. What are you looking at in this game between the Battle of Texas?
Yeah, so the Astros over 5 team total, I thought at minus 126. But the official play for me is maybe Astros minus 0.5 in the first 5 innings. It's, of course, minus 154. So the juice is a little bit high, and I might end up double dipping on the team total. Haven't done it yet, so I'm not going to announce it yet. But look out, for my Twitter and see if I double dip because I'm really high on the Astros in this game, of course. So, Framber Valdez going for the Astros. He's gone in 7+ innings in 3 of his last 4 starts this season. High strikeout numbers in his last start. Has great movement on his pitches. I don't know if some of you guys have seen him pitch, but watching him pitch is just really fun. He's a great pitcher and has some really great command, some great control, has some crazy pitches. He's a great pitcher to watch and tons of fun. Before this game, before we saw Luis Garcia on the mound, it was going to be Jordan Lyles. So I'm hoping we see Garcia and Lyles in this game. I would love that. But yeah, Garcia, this is a guy, he's up 5 games, hasn't started a single game yet. Or actually, I think he's done 6 games now because he pitched in the 30th. So, of course, he's not really going to go any deeper than maybe 2-3 innings in this game. So for Garcia, he's going to get the spot start. Basically, he's allowed to run in 4 of his 6 appearances this season. Hasn't pitched more than 1.1 inning in any start 1.1 innings in any start in any game this season. So lefties are hitting, pretty solid. I think in the 400s, just faced 22 batters, of course, and no extra base hits. But Astros have a high ISO. Extra base hits are going to be high in this game for the Astros. And the Rangers, as you saw after this trade deadline, they're conceding the season. Their bullpen is depleted. Now they have bullpen guys taking starts, and their starters aren't pitching well. They have one of the worst staffs in all of baseball right now in terms of pitching. So I love the Astros in the spot at home. I think they're 11-5 on the season, so they've been really good at home, hitting the ball at home. Maybe they still got the trash cans going. I'll take it. I'm okay with it. Keep hitting the trash cans. I'll take it for this start. Astros all the way for this one. So far, the official play is minus 0.5. First 5 at minus 154, but I might also do the Astros over 5 team total at minus 126. A little bit later.
Yeah, I like the over 5 a lot in that game. Maybe I can make a phone call down to Houston and see if they can get Minute Maid Park to open the roof, let that heat and humidity in there. Everything can help with bouncing it around. That's a hitter's ballpark. I just wish they would open the roof every once in a while, and we would really get it popping like they do out in Arizona in late innings. We'll see what happens in that game. Let's keep it moving here down the list. Atlanta and Boston, 9-13, 9-14. The theme of the day is talking about bullpens that have been wrecked. Another piece moves out of the Boston Red Sox, and now you have Ryan Weber on the mound, who's been terrible this year, an over of 10, 165 to 170, depending on where you're shopping. Ian Anderson in a nice first start. This just looks to me like an Atlanta team that's going to get 9 at-bats at Fenway. They should be able to mash. You're going to get a number. I'm checking out Wheel Hill right now. Over 5, minus 129, which is a pretty fair price for the Braves. They covered it yesterday. They'll be right around that 5 or more marker. I like the team total in this game. If they're not going to get the Weber, they're going to get to that bullpen. It doesn't matter if they're, not going to get their bottom of the 9th inning, at bat to try to shorten it up and say, well, maybe let's move it over to first 5. I want a full 9 innings with this Atlanta lineup. I think they rake tonight. I think they get 6+ runs in this game. I'm going with the Braves team total over 5, minus 130 in this one. What are you looking at, Jason?
Yeah, so I might be on a different side with you here. Just a lean for me, of course. But Weber, this is a guy, he's allowing high ground ball rate, so he's not getting many swinging strikes, but getting those ground balls. He's allowed 16 hits and 17 innings pitched, so hasn't done terrible. And in August, he just allowed 7 runs, 2 home runs, and in August he's getting a large amount of ground balls, which is pretty interesting just to see. His FIP is a 6.85, ERA is 6, but he hasn't been that bad in August. So I'm seeing this and I'm like, all right, well the Red Sox, obviously their bullpen can definitely allow the Braves to score some runs, but if you're looking at the starting pitching, you're like, all right, well maybe Weber is a little bit better than his stats are really, are portraying. This is a guy that's walked 4.13 batters per 9 innings and also struck out 4.13 batters per 9 innings. So hasn't been that great. But looking at his August stats, I'm like, all right, maybe it's not that bad. But you can definitely prove me wrong. He's not a great pitcher, of course. A 6.85 FIP. That's why I'm staying away from the game. I don't really trust Weber's stats. For Anderson, Ian Anderson went against the Yankees in his first career start in the MLB. He looked really good in his debut game. High grounders as well. Plenty of swinging strikes. Allowed just 1 hit and 1 run. 6 strikeouts and 2 walks versus the Yankees in 6 innings pitched on the road in Yankee Stadium. So Anderson looked really good. Again, he's a highly touted prospect for the Braves. And, I would think he can perform well versus the Red Sox as well. So if I had a lean, I'd say under 9.5. I'd also look at the Braves at minus 162. And I think that they can definitely get the team total later on in the game. I just think Weber might be a better pitcher than I think we're letting on to believe.
No, I hear you on that one. And a quick question in the chat box. BZ Baby says closed roof means less or more runs. Absolutely more runs. The heat and humidity in these ballparks that can climb up, and just from that roof being open, and you see it a lot because I always like to reference Arizona, where sometimes they start with the roof closed in the 3rd inning, and then by the time they turn the air conditioner off and the roof opens, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, that temperature slowly rises, and you get those 6 to 7 run late innings that can spurn it over. So anytime you see these roofs, whether it be the Brewers or even the 2 Texas teams, the Arizona squads, if they have that roof open, and specifically you don't have it this year, but even in the Rogers Center up in Toronto, when that roof is open, it's going to let that ball fly. Because like, how many times do you see like a wall tracker where it just goes back, hey, up against the wall, but the roof is closed down in Tampa. If there was no roof in Tampa, that ball's out of here. It's another 5 feet that you need to have carry distance, and it would get there. So good question there out of the chat box, but always look at that. It's fun when the roof is open, but I got to tell you, Jason, let's back this up. It's like a cat and mouse game out there. Some teams like to say it. Some teams don't. You even go to their website and it says the roof is open, but it's statistics from like 2017. It's really hard hit or miss. Even the Brewers, though, you can actually call the Brewers, and they have a hotline that tells you that if the roof will be open or not. I don't even know if it works this year. Since there's no fans, they're probably like, we ain't telling you a damn thing. Just take a picture of the roof. But it is what it is at this point. Let's keep going here. Detroit, Milwaukee, 9:15, 9:16. Fulmer versus Lindblom, 7 out of every 10 tickets coming in for Milwaukee. Retractable roof, open or close? We'll play that guessing game. But how about this line moving? Opened up at 156, now sitting close to 200 across the board. Over under open up at 9, now sitting at 9.5. I like Milwaukee versus left-handed pitching. I'm not a big fan of Milwaukee versus right-handed pitching, but again, this is Fulmer on the mound, and there's a reason why it's 9 and now 9.5, so 10 runs would have to take it. I don't have anything on this game. Any leans or any looks in this game for him, Jason?
Yeah, look, I was looking at over 8.5 earlier in the day. I mean, look, you have Fulmer and Lindblom on the mound, right? Both these guys have huge ERAs. Fulmer, 8.79. Lindblom, 6.31. His FIP is 4.5, so he's been a little bit better. But for Lindblom, for example, 6.75 ERA at home in 2 starts. Batters are hitting 294 at home, with lefties hitting 416 on the season. Righties are just hitting 186. When now we talk about the Tigers, they're mainly a righty team for the most part. That's where they get most of their damage anyway. So that's interesting. You know, Lindblom, he's walking 4.21 batters per 9 innings, allowing 1.75 home runs per 9 innings. Fulmer, 4.4 walks per 9 innings and 3.77 home runs per 9 innings, which is really bad. So I would assume both these guys allow hits, but if you look at like the stats, the underlying stats, it's like, all right, and the odds makers are onto something because they have it such a low number with 2 terrible pitchers because they know who they're facing in terms of offenses. So I still think the ball goes. I still think there's enough runs in this game. Of course, we'll definitely see some bullpens come out and pitch in this game as well. So I'd expect the over 8.5 or over 9 to hit, but I do think there's value at the Tigers at plus 175 because if you look at Fulmer, right, his record, he's 0-0 in 5 games started with an 8.79 ERA. So whenever Fulmer's on the mound, the Tigers are hitting the ball and staying in the game. And Lindblom has done nothing, especially at home or this season, to say, yeah, he's going to definitely pitch well versus the Tigers in this game. So maybe the Tigers over 3.5 team totals to play. They've been hitting when Fulmer's on the mound a ton this season. So no official play on this one, but definitely an interesting one to look at because both pitchers are bad, and the over-under is just 8.5 and 9, which is really weird.
57 thumbs up, 0 thumbs down, 317 people currently watching live. Hit that subscribe button. We do thank you guys for tuning in. How about one more game, then we'll flip it over to Best Bets and Bankers, see if we can win some money on the day. 919, 920. A lot of chatter in here from the chat box here, Jason, on this one. Chicago White Sox and the Minnesota Twins, Dallas Keuchel, the lefty, versus Michael Pineda back on the mound. And, we joke around. He's going to have pine tar. He's not going to have pine tar. What's he going to look like in his first start this year? Hasn't pitched for a while. So when we take a look and break down this game, there's not a lot of statistics that you can go up against and say, well, Pineda, here's how he's been doing. It's basically, we always like to take the Chicago White Sox versus a left-handed pitcher, but obviously Pineda's a right-handed pitcher. I think they're going to do fine in this game because I'm going to take a look at Keuchel as that crafty veteran having a good season, pitching in and out, soft contact. I think they'll be able to get it done. It's a little bit alarming that the line opens up at about minus 120 offshore with the White Sox. Now it's down to a pick 'em, but I'm not one to jump in and be like, hey, Pineda's going to be back. He's going to dominate in this game. I'm going to stick and go with the White Sox here. I like Keuchel. I think he's going to give an honest effort from his side. I think those White Sox backs will be able to scratch out runs for Pineda and do the job. It's roughly a pick 'em right now. I'm going to go White Sox. Any thoughts on this game, Jason?
Yeah, and if I had to pick them too, I would go with the White Sox minus 106. Yeah. I don't trust Pineda coming back from a suspension. Who knows, how deep he'll go, what his velocity is like, all these different underlying differences that could happen in his first start of the season. So, yeah, for me, Keuchel, 5-2 on the season, 7 games started. He's not getting many strikeouts, but his walk rate is low. He's not allowing too many hits. Ground balls are extremely high at 56%, 2.7 ERA and a 3.23 FIP. Pineda last season went 11-5, had a 4.01 ERA, so wasn't a bad pitcher at all. Definitely, his walks were low, home runs were kind of low. So he's not a bad pitcher at all, but I just don't know what to expect out of him. That's why I'm not touching this game. But if I had to touch the game, I look at the White Sox and Keuchel, because Keuchel has actually performed and Pineda hasn't.
No, I can certainly see where you're going with that one. But now, look at that. 35 minutes into the show. Left off maybe 1 or 2 games here, but got through the gist of the card. It's time to give out some best bets and bankers. I'm looking to bounce back. Swept the league last week. Let's not have a reverse and go over this week, since I did take a loss yesterday on my play. But we're going to bounce back in a big way today. And the best of the number is gone in the game I'm looking at. But obviously, you guys are watching the show. You can get it right now. It's 10.5 across the board. I usually give out a team total, but I'm going with the total. I'm looking at 2 decent hitting lineups against 2 bad pitchers and 1 average bullpen and 1 disaster of a bullpen. There's no reason to believe that the Mets can't get to 6 or 7 runs in this game, and certainly the Baltimore Orioles be able to put up at least 4 runs in this one. 7-4 is a perfect fit in this game. My best bet and banker today is going to be on the over in the Baltimore Orioles New York Mets game. Over 10. Boy, I would love to come on and be like, hey, man, got it 9.5 at the opener, but we're live in here. We're going 10.5. We're going to get 11 plus. Don't you guys worry about that. That's my best bet and banker. Jason, take it away. Let's give out some winners here, brother.
Of course. So we're going to go with the Royals and Indians game. We're going to go Indians minus 0.5 at minus 134. We're going up against my guy, Matt Harvey. So rooting against my guy, but it is what it is. Money is money to me. And then lastly, my other banker will be the Astros minus 0.5. The first 5 at minus 154. I understand the juice is heavy, but if you don't want to take that juice, I definitely would recommend Astros over 5 team total. And if you have to go 5.5, that would be the last resort, or potentially going Astros minus 1.5 for the full game. I'm all over the Astros in this game. I think I'm going to make going double dip on this game and take the Astros over 5 team total at minus 26. Not official yet, but most likely I will double dip with the Astros because I love this matchup, and I know the Rangers are starting to kind of concede the season. So Astros minus 0.5 first 5, and more than likely Astros over 5 team total at minus 126. Hoping that number goes a little bit down before I hit it, but I will update you guys on Twitter when the time comes.
No, I really like that Houston team total 5 or more. There's no reason to believe they're not going to get 6 runs tonight, rested and ready on offense. Well, that does it again. How about this? A Tuesday show for September 1st, 2020. Jason brought it up at the beginning. There are so many good things going on at sportsbookreview.com right now. The college football show's kicking off. The NFL show's kicking off. Flashing the boys with soccer. We'll be back in about a week and a half. Jay Money's got the NBA show rocking and rolling for the NBA. There's no better place to be than sportsbookreview.com. Hit that subscribe button. Turn the notification bells on. When we go live on the channels or release any content and information, don't be afraid to come in here and say hello in the chat box. He's Jason Radowitz. I'm Donnie Seamers for Sportsbook.